We're now at phase 5 of the software development life cycle. What we have is so far an application that has been defined in step 1, designed in step 2, programmed in step 3, and successfully passed the testing of step 4. Now it's time to implement it, by which we mean make it available to the public. If it's an HTML5 application, it's as simple as making the website available to the public. However, for hybrid or native applications, we need to upload these to the different app stores. Let's talk about what that entails. To begin with, we need to establish that there are 2 kinds of app stores to consider. The first are public app stores. To get into these app stores, all you need to do is meet the requirements that the different companies operating them put out, and in order to access and download apps from them, have a device that is allowed to download from it. So for example, if you upload an application to the Apple App Store, the only way you'll be able to download anything from it is to have an iPhone or an iPad or an approved Apple device. An Android, a BlackBerry, it's not going to be able to connect to these. All you need to do is get your hands on an iOS device and you can download from it. Private app stores, on the other hand, they're different. They're a little more regulated. And in our discussion of this, the private app store we're going to focus on is the UAE Government App Store. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's first begin by looking at some public app stores, specifically starting with Apple. Now, Apple has a number of requirements that need to be satisfied. Some of them are shared with other providers, such as Google. Some of them are a little different. One of the most important ones that I want you to understand when it comes to Apple is that after you upload an application, there is going to be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks of waiting before it is approved or rejected. Why is this? Well, it's because of Apple's business model. Apple has an entire business built around the user experience of their devices and software. So any application that runs on their devices or using their software is going to be inferred by the user as a part of the Apple experience. So if your application is going to deliver an experience that Apple does not believe is going to be one that they would happily say, okay, we approve of this, it's going to be rejected. This means that Apple is going to do much more thorough testing than others. This is also why it's going to take longer. Another important difference is that when you upload an app for consideration and listing in the App Store, that application must be signed by a digital certificate, a private key. Now, where does this key come from? With Apple, they give it to you. You sign up for a developer account, you agree to the non-disclosure, you pay the annual fee, and they give you a key that you can use to sign your applications when you upload them. This is something that's important because it helps to establish identity. When an application is uploaded, whose key has it been signed with? Apple can find out, they can match that key to one they issued, and they can verify the identity of the uploader. Now, Google has some of the same requirements as Apple in terms of having a developer account, signing an NDA, and paying a fee. But there are some key differences between Google and Apple that you need to be aware of. One of the first ones is that the turnaround time for Google is going to be much faster, whereas Apple will very thoroughly test your application for the experience. Google is going to do a very light amount of testing, and usually applications for Android devices are uploaded onto the Google Play Store within a matter of days, if not hours. Another major difference, and this is one that regards security, is the signing of the application prior to upload. Whereas Apple had you sign an application using a key that they provided, Google does not care where that key comes from. In fact, you can create your own key and sign an application with it and then upload it. The problem with this is validating identity. If you, in the real world, asked someone to give you some form of identification, and they gave you a business card, you wouldn't really be able to trust that the name and information on that card is accurate. Why is that? Well, we know it's because that anybody can go and have business cards created to say whatever it is that they want it to say. However, if they handed you an Emirates ID or a passport, you would trust that much more. And that's because not anyone can go out and just create an Emirates ID or a passport. You are trusting the issuing organization when someone gives you some piece of identity to prove who you are. In the case of an Emirates ID, you are trusting Emirates ID. A passport, you are trusting the foreign government that issued that passport. Business card, you're going to trust some printing shop as vouching for that person's identity? The reason this is important is because with the Google Android applications, when you sign, you can use a self-created key. That is the software equivalent of a business card. You can create a key that says, I am the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for an account that says, I am the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So when you upload an application and a user goes to download that application, what they will see is an app listed that says, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But is it really? How do you know that it's not a malicious application that will begin to steal your data after you download it and install it? Well, that's where solutions such as the UAE App Store comes into play.